Hey guys, we are here in our living room. I want to introduce you to a few friends that we brought today, and they're going to help us tell what's going on in Mark chapter 14. So first, I hope you have your Bible because Mark chapter 14 has a lot of words, and we're not going to read them all. So, have your Bible, but let's meet our friends that are here. Who's here today?
Hello.
Oh, we have Doggy is with us. And who else is over here?
My name is
Kangaroo. So Doggy and Kangaroo today. Kangaroo, have you ever heard about Jesus? No? What about you, Doggy?
Well, I've heard some, but I'm ready to learn some more.
Yeah, and you're probably friends with Larry the Camel. Carl, that's right. Carl the Camel. And Carl has probably told you some of the things we've studied about Jesus, right? Okay, Kangaroo, are you ready?
Yeah.
Now I want to tell you, Kangaroo, we're in Mark chapter 14, and this is kind of a sad part of Jesus' story. Yeah, it's not a really good part of the story, but we need to read it, and we need to talk about things that are sad sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus, guys, has been coming to the end of his life, and he says he's going to die. He's going, but it's sad, but it's also, he says he's going to come back from the dead in 3 days. So that's pretty neat, right? So Jesus is going to have this part of his story in Mark chapter 14. And he's eating dinner, and somebody comes and they pour some very expensive perfume on him. Yeah. Because the woman who's done this, she wants to honor Jesus, and she wants to make sure that he is taken care of and how much he is appreciated and what is he worth to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his disciples, Judas says, well, that's a waste, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, he just was wanting the money from the perfume. He didn't care about honoring Jesus. Sometimes we can be selfish, right? And we can do things that are just for us. Do you ever do that, Kangaroo? And Jesus says, this woman did a great thing for me because she has honored me. So we need to do that with Jesus. We need to take time to honor Jesus, the way we live and what we give him. So then they go and eat a meal together, okay? And we call it the Last Supper, and they're having a Passover. Do you know what they eat? I know this is kind of hard to hear because y'all are animals, but do you know what they eat?
What?
They eat a lamb.
Oh.
A lamb. So not a kangaroo, not a dog, but they ate a lot of lambs. There was a couple million people in Jerusalem for the Passover. And so, do you remember when God saved the Israelites from Egypt?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were remembering that time with this meal. So God told them to get a lamb. They put the blood of the lamb on the door, and it saved them from the angel of death. And so they're remembering that. And Jesus uses that time, and he says, I'm going to take this time, and I want you to remember me, not just the lamb that is on the blood of the door from Egypt. He says, I am the lamb. And this is going to be a new remembrance. So I want you to remember the blood of the lamb. And he took a cup, and he says, this is my blood of the covenant. What's a covenant? Kangaroo, do you know what a covenant is?
No.
What about you, Doggy?
I don't know what a covenant is.
A covenant is like a new agreement, a new promise. And so Jesus says, I'm going to promise. This is the blood of my covenant. I'm making a new covenant with my blood. And then he says, the bread is like my body. And he wants him to remember Jesus, what he's about to do on the cross, right? Isn't that what we do every Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still remember this because Jesus told us to. And so then they go out, right? This was the last time that he got to spend with them. And then he goes out to pray. He goes to a garden called Gethsemane. Kangaroo, you got a new friend? Who's this? Raccoony? Okay. And Jesus is telling them they're all going to leave him. Can you believe all of his friends are going to leave him?
Why?
And that's what he said. They couldn't believe it. In fact, Peter says, "No, we will never do that." And Jesus said, "Actually, you will." And he did. And so Jesus was very sad, and he was also praying to God. He was praying to the Father, and he says, "Look, God, take this cup from me. You can make this happen another way. But if you can't, if you won't, then I will still go." Right? So Jesus wanted to go for us. And then he gets arrested. Did Jesus do anything wrong?
No.
No, he's never sinned, but he gets arrested in the garden. And they come to him and take him at night. And he says, "I'm not a thief or a robber, but yet here you are." So he goes with them. And Jesus doesn't want anyone to get hurt, right? Even though he knows he will. So then he goes through these trials. You know what a trial is?
Not off the top of my head.
So a trial is like before you go to jail or something, you have a trial. But this trial was even worse. It was, should they put Jesus to death? And they had people come and they lied about what Jesus said or what he did. And Jesus went through all these trials. You know that? And these trials, they were illegal. They weren't allowed to have them the way they did. But they didn't care. They wanted Jesus to die. And so Jesus goes through all these trials, and it's been a long night. His friends have left him, and he is going to have to suffer. So we have all these turning points, okay? We have these days, and Jesus had never gone through a day like this. Do you ever have days that something happens and only happens to you one time?
Yeah, I've had a lot of those kind of days.
And they kind of change everything, right?
Yeah.
And Jesus is about to change everything. Even though these are very sad things that are happening to Jesus, he's about to change everything for everyone, right? Well, guys, this is where we're going to end because this is the end of Mark chapter 14. But Peter, he does deny Jesus. Do you know that? 3 times. He says, "I don't even know Jesus." And sometimes the way we act, we say the same thing. But Peter, you know what he goes on to do?
What?
He never denies him like that again. He speaks about Jesus very boldly to all the people who will listen. He tells a lot of people about Jesus. So we have to have these turning points. What are we going to decide to do with Jesus? Right? Well, thank you guys for coming to class tonight.
Oh, I loved it. I'll go tell Carl.
Yeah, we'll see Carl again, I'm sure. And we have a few more chapters left to Mark. So I hope you take some time and read the rest of that. It's not very long. We have 2 more chapters in Mark. But thank you, Kangaroo and Raccoon and Doggy, for coming to class tonight.
Bye.
Can you tell the kids bye?
Bye.
All right. Y'all have a good night.